Hi all, welcome to this platform of UNGIST. Today in this session we are going to talk about a few topics which has been asked over and again by the UPSC in the Civil Services paper 4, that is GS, Aptitude, Ethics and Integrity. Okay, so in this subject we see that what should be the approach. So for that matter, to understand the approach, I have brought you a question, I have brought you a topic which has been asked frequently by the UPSC. So this is only the favorite topic of the UPSC. In fact, it has the much relevance in our daily life also. As an individual, in your professional sphere, in your personal sphere, it becomes very important if you understand this concept of emotional intelligence. As it has the two words, emotional and intelligence. It is something related to our feelings, emotions, and intelligence. That is your decision making which is coming out of this thing. So what is that? Daniel Goleman, we have to understand what he has said. In a very simple language, he said, emotional intelligence is simply an ability of a person to understand and manage his own emotions as well as of the others' emotion. But here is a cue. You cannot control the others' emotion. You have control on your own emotions. That means you can understand the situation as well as in which your emotions are coming up and as well as the emotions of the other person in which is whom you are interacting in. Okay, so it becomes very important to solve real life problems. Today if we see that EQ, that is the emotional quotient, has been considered should be much higher than IQ for a balanced life or for a successful life. What is that? It comes or it has a genesis only in this word, that is emotional intelligence, which Daniel Goleman has rightly said with respect to 5 components. So what are these 5 components? Before getting into 5 components, let me tell you what are the applications of emotional intelligence, so that we would be able to understand what is the functional aspect of this concept. Or how can I use this emotional intelligence in my daily life or in the special circumstances of crisis management, right? As we have seen in the corona times, all the machinery, government machinery or the private hospitals were stressed because of lack of resources to cope up with the rising patients or reducing oxygen cylinders. And at the same time, when they are going back home, what they are saying? They have their family, and due to this contagious nature of this virus, so they are not able to provide the care or receive the emotional care from their family members. So in this environment, this emotional intelligence stands deeply rooted to help us or to help those health workers or the frontline workers so that they can manage emotions and keep the machinery running. Otherwise, the whole system of society, which is coming from private sector, which is coming from the government sector, would have collapsed. And we would have the more tragedies, right? So in order to reduce or completely make the tragedy zero or solve the problem effectively, this emotional intelligence becomes handy. Let's take another example. This example is coming from directly from the rights management, that when the protesters are protesting in Haryana, the farmers are protesting, and you also have witnessed that incident. The SDM has given the orders to do the lathi charge, and what has happened? The old age farmers got the blow. Right? Just when he gave the orders that you have to do the lathi charge to control the protesting farmers, so many of the poor farmers, the old age farmers got the blow and bleeded. Eventually, when this incident happened and came into the public, to the media scrutiny, the SDM says that, or he defended himself, we were stressed in making all the arrangements for these protesters for the long, and these protesters are coming and making the demands. So he was not able to connect with the demands of the public or the protesting farmers empathetically. So he lacked that empathy. And he ordered what he did. He used all his powers. So these powers can be refrained or can be utilized in order to have the public trust or have the public good. So in this example, if I say or understand, so emotional intelligence encompasses now the 5 components. One of the first is empathy. Second, motivation, self-regulation, self-awareness, and then social skills. So if I have to take one by one, first of all comes this self-awareness. One must be aware of his own things, own value system and own values and emotions in which he has to play, like his strengths and weakness. And then when it comes to self-regulation, see, these two components are closely connected. These are actually interrelated. That is stress management. We have seen in the recent example he was not able to manage his stress. That's why it was an outburst in his orders to do lathi charge, right? So self-awareness gives me cue to the self-regulation. Self-regulation we will study again the second thing, that is anger management. If you are not able to know where I have to lose my temper or where I have to control the anger, you will not be able to exhibit a certain level of emotional intelligence, right? For these things to operate, what we need a motivation. So here comes the third point, motivation. And in this motivation, if I have to connect the fourth component, that is empathy. If you lack empathy, you will not be able to understand others' emotions. So if we have to revisit the definition, what Daniel Goleman has said, ability to perceive your own emotion as well as of others' emotions. Then take the decision, right? So now what we are talking about, the empathy. And in that, the same example of SDM we have to take, consider if he had the empathy for the farmers, so he would not have ordered to do the lathi charge. So very simple to understand. And UPSC is asking only these simple questions. But where is the trick that we are not getting the good score? Problem is that we are not able to link with the current examples. What we are doing, we are writing examples of from the coaching institutes material or from the books that has been written the very long back. So what we have to do, we have to show novelty in our examples. We have to interrelate with the current reality. So this is how we can do. And the importance of emotional intelligence as a whole, when we have understood all these four components, here comes the fifth component, that is social skills. That is your persuasion, your leadership ability, quality of leadership, your decision making, right? Persuasiveness, how you can build consensus among the different members of the group whom you are going to interact, where there is a difference of opinion. So, right, the social skills now helps me to build a team. The team spirit, that is emotional intelligence, is very important to infuse team spirit or build a team. You have to keep your team members motivated towards a goal. Goal means that is, which is your public duty. Public duty cannot become your personal duty or obligation. Whenever we have seen the moments of the emotional discharge, like police is managing crowd, maybe in some riot or maybe in some other crowd management system, we have seen the anger and anguish of the policemen who are doing the duty. Why is it happening so? Emotional intelligence gives me the answer. They are not motivated enough because they are walking in the emotional outburst situation. So they are not able to exhibit, not able to understand the demand or need of the public. That's why that emotional outburst is taking place in the form of anger and anguish. So what is the role of a leader now? When we talked about the social skills as a component, fifth component of emotional intelligence. A leader who is having the good quality of emotional intelligence, who has cultivated emotional intelligence effectively, will be able to understand the situation of his subordinates. He will keep them insulated from the external pressure, from the politicization, from the pressure from the superiors or demand from the, or extraordinary demands from the public even. So he is going to create a shield around them so that they can operate effectively and freely, independently, right? Second thing is that he is also having the empathy. Towards whom? Towards his subordinates. They are also working day and night. So he will manage effectively to them that you have to exhibit a certain level of emotional intelligence towards the public also, right? So you have to keep them motivated towards their duty. Duty, that is crowd management, crisis management. The classic examples we have discussed about these topics of emotional intelligence are recent one from the corona management. Second is from the crowd management. Third comes from that farmers protest. So these are the situation which is giving me a cue to understand how emotional intelligence operate in the extraordinary situation. Okay, let's come to the day-to-day activities where emotional intelligence is very effective. You can manage your emotions, right? You can understand your emotions, your as well as of others. You are a person coming from the North India got posted in South India. So there is a difference now. He's going to get the team from the cultural diversity or linguistic diversity in South India. So now his duty is to get intermixed or intermingled with that culture of the whole team or subordinates and superiors, right, and the peers. And then he has to ensure that there is coordination and communication. So if we have to understand emotional intelligence, so now the third thing that is very important after the definition of emotional intelligence and components, it comes effective communication, the communication of emotions. So if I have to say in a single buzzword, that is be expressive. You have to express. There could be different ways of expressing your emotions. Like one can express in the form of anger. So that is undesirable as per the emotional intelligence. So there should be a certain dignified way of expressing your emotions that is cultivated from the different situation to different situation and exhibited in various circumstances, which is different from the one to other, right? So having said so, we have to understand this emotional intelligence from the UPSC perspective. So it comes from solving the problems. So emotional intelligence also becomes important when you have to deal with the case studies. Okay, let's take an example. In one of the case studies, it was asked, there was a question about rehabilitation, right? For the certain project, government has to rehabilitate certain group of members, mostly coming from the tribal dweller or the forest dwellers. So in that matter, you have to exhibit emotional intelligence. How? First of all, you have to build consensus. Why government is going to take up such project? It could have some utility. It could have some benefits for the society. We cannot uprightly say no, right? So in order to build consensus among the diverse member group, we need emotional intelligence, right? Because emotional intelligence has one component that is also coming from the social skills, that is communication. Your leadership quality, how you can persuade. Before persuasion, you have to understand. So understanding of emotion and then expressing your emotion or taking the decision making, it is all comes under the purview of emotional intelligence. So if we are going to understand this EI, emotional intelligence, which was given by Daniel Goleman, so we are going to cover two things, the section A question and case study. So wherever you have to see there is a requirement of leadership or persuasion or effective communication or building coordination, cooperation among team members. What is the most important thing that we have seen in the government sector? There are the multiple agencies working on the same project, and what is happening? We have seen lack of coordination, and that's why there are the delays, inordinate delays in decision making, and public has to suffer. So if we have to resolve the problem effectively, emotional intelligence becomes a tool, an effective tool to address these things. Of course, this is for UPSC, but as well as it is have the same relevance or the equal gravity to resolve your public relation as well as your personal life relationship. By expressing your emotion, understanding others' emotion. Right? I hope you are able to understand the concept of emotional intelligence with respect to UPSC. So, we will come up with the direct case studies which has been asked by UPSC in our next series. Right? Till then, thank you very much and have a nice day.